prayer, please, I come in somewhere. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive those who trespass. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Huh? Yeah, I was doing different. Lord prayer, I guess. All right. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Ms. Miller? Here. Ms. Harris? Present. Mr. St. Columbia?
Here.
Mr. Etherly? He's here, but in the hall. Ms. Davis won't be with us this evening. Dr. Miller? Yes. Okay, that'll be 5 present.
All right. On agenda item number 6, well, do we want to do that before we do the minutes? Yeah. So agenda item number 6, we got Shirley Garner. It's moved to November the 7th. Then just delete her. Yes. All right. Then Miss Gwen Maybon is set for the 7th of November, but it may be taken off because she has an attorney, and it's probably not appropriate for her to come down here and if in that fashion, I guess. It's about a car accident. All right. Then item C, you may have a sheet. There was a sheet included in your packet. Did everybody get a packet delivered to them? Okay. So the sheet, I think it's page 6 of that packet. Yes. So it appears to be Pastor Robinson and the board asking the city to build a canopy on the east side of the building down there at a cost of $2,100 with Eastern Enterprise out of Mariana doing the work. And this letter that I have dated October the 3rd is all that I have seen, all that I know about it. So. Oh, Reverend Robinson's here.
Good evening to our mayor and to the members of the Kiss City Council. We were in pursuit of a, I guess you would call it a permit that we may be able to build a canopy. The purpose of the canopy, let me give the dimension of the canopy first of all, is 4.5 feet width. And the length of it is 5 feet. It measured to be equal with everything. Larry Depps and I own all of those apartments down there. And all of them is measured same size. The street is 40 feet wide. The average street is about 18 to 20 feet wide. By being 40 feet wide, that allows us to have parking because it was designed to have parking. And it will help us when we're doing our food baskets. We can move more expeditiously rather than have them coming in the front door and then going back out the front door. Normally, when we do our food baskets, along with other activities we have, they'll come through the front door and they'll go right out that side door, which is facing St. Francis Street. And the canopy will help us in times of rain, things like that. We're going to build it ourselves. We already have the staff and everything ready to go. We just need a permit and the approval from you guys to allow us to build it. That's what we are here for. We know that the city owns that building per se, but they leased it to us. That building was let to us October the 10th, 1999, under Dr. Mills' administration. And we've had it through all the mayors after him. We've taken well good care of it. We've invested lots and lots of dollars into it. It's been very beneficial to the community. The crime has been cut down in that part of Helena. I'm sure you can check police records and you will see that that area is not crimeless now like it was at one time. Mr. Dex and I, along with Mr. JB, we all work together. We've cleaned the community up. Any of you welcome to drive down through it. But we would like to get that canopy so they won't be clogged up during rainy time. They can get in and out of it. And it's in line with all the overhangs all the way down St. Francis Street. It's on the south side. It's on the east side of St. Francis Street. So our city attorney know where we are. He knows what we're doing. He's seen it.
If I may,
Sure.
Pastor Robinson visited with me and both of the code enforcement officers, and he just wanted to build it. But because it's the city's building, I told him he had to come for the body and ask your permission because they have a 99-year lease, but the city still owns it. And that's all I think he needs is the permission to go ahead and make the amendment to the building. He's trying to build a canopy. It's off of the right of way, it's off of the street, it's off of the sidewalk, and it's the dimensions, but he can't do it without your approval. That's basically what this is about.
And
Is that correct, Mr. Robinson?
that's correct. We did not come here for the city to do it. We just need the city to give us a permit so that we can do it.
Right. Just need a vote to authorize them to place a canopy. It's one side already.
Right.
But they want to do one that's identical on the other side. That's all it is.
Are you asking us for the money to do?
No, I want us to be very clear.
Permission for you to pay for it and do it?
We got everything organized to where we would do it ourselves. We just need to get the permit from you guys so that we can
What
build
do you
it.
want from this body as permission?
That's a permit.
No money.
No money. We very seldom ask you guys for money. We've been doing it ever since 1999, October 10th. We've done all of that
Yeah,
ourselves.
I'm familiar. I'm
Yeah.
familiar. I have no objection to giving him permission to do that. I need to put that in the form of.
Okay.
Mr. St. Columbia made a motion to approve the canopy to be built. Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Ms. Miller, Mr. Etherly, Ms. Harris,
Yeah.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yeah,
5 yes.
Thank you so much.
And Mayor Robinson, thank you so much.
And good luck to you. All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, our next guest is Miss Leela or Leola. Either one. Johnson Foster. She's here on item D to request a parade permit, and it's in your packet. Starting at page 3.
what page is that?
3.
Yeah.
Mr. You want to give them a brief summary of what you're trying to do?
Okay, good morning, good evening. My son is retiring from the military. This is his 21st year. And he's here and we're just trying to show him some appreciation. So we want to just get a small parade together. We're giving him a event at our house, but we want a small parade where we can just come down from Rusty's down to the old bait shop, turn around, and they can go on from there. But that's all we need, just small parade.
So what you're doing is celebrating a retired veteran?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
It's Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving evening parade should start around 5:30.
I move that we approve this request.
Mrs. St. Columbia moved it. We had Ms. Foster had a retirement parade. Ms. Miller seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Miller, Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
5 yes.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, good luck, Ms. Foster. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, our next item is minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any?
We'll do them on the 7th.
All right, and then our standing reports, our city treasurer is out. There's a note on his door, says he's out till Friday, so there won't be one from him. The city attorney is here, and we've included in your packet a hauling ordinance starting at page 7. I don't know that the city attorney has reviewed that. I assisted in being prepared. But the gist of this ordinance is that we have a spending limit ordinance on the mayor at $5,000. Earlier this year, we had a hauler that was hauling at $75 an hour. And we would go from one demolition to another. City attorney advised us that that was a serial contract because all those different contracts, and we had set the amount $75. The hauler was just hauling, so he says it's all hauling, so it's a serial contract. This ordinance would set a rate and create the exception where if the city has set the rate and they're hauling according to these rates, then it wouldn't be a serial contract. Because none of them was over 5,000 for the hauling at any single location. But we run into the serial contract, and once you get enough of them, it'll add up to $5,000 now. Don't know if y'all had a chance to review that, or city attorney wants to review it before y'all deal with it, or how you want to approach that.
Well, just by way of information for the council, the spending orders, the serial contract, the mayor spending order is up to $5,000. And the mayor cannot break that down into a number or a series of separate contracts in order to get beyond the $5,000 spending limit. And so what we have been discussing was an hourly rate. This is the hourly rate for regardless of who the hauler is, so you wouldn't have that issue. And so that's the issue the mayor requests, the chief of staff requests, and that's what this ordinance purports to do. I've read it. I don't see any issues with it. It sets a standard rate. One of the things that we may need to do with more of these, so we can have a standard rate where we know if you contact the city, this is our rate for this, or this is our rate for that, so we can avoid some of those things. But of course, you're all in charge of finances. It's how you want to do things. If you need time to study it, I understand. But I don't see any issues with it after be reviewing it.
And if I may add, in Article 1, you got some definitions. Those generally come from the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality regulations, how they define demolition, facility, and we define hauling. And then the cleanup, we define such that you can do the grass and stuff like that. And then in Article 2, we also added the leachate, which is what the leachate we haul from the landfill at 6 cents a pound. Is it 6 cents a pound, 6 cents a gallon? I think it's a pound. But anyway, the hauler goes out, gets the leachate, takes it from the landfill to one of our manholes and deposits it, and we pay them. For example, I think this year so far we've hauled 37,000 gallons, I think it is, or since the last time we paid it. And that amounts to $3,900. So it's not even above the 5,000, but you know, leachate is something we constantly haul. And just don't want that to be considered a serial contract either if it gets to be above $5,000 in a year.
And we will continue to have to haul leachate until we upgrade our landfills of sewage and drainage for it to be able to capture it and run directly through the sewer lines. But leachate, in the simplest terms, is any water that comes in contact with trash or any liquid that's contained in our trash. And so that cannot remain sitting at the landfill. So that's part of what's constantly being hauled off and placed in our manholes.
And I have a question in the
Yes, sir.
past, people have bid on this, is that correct?
In the past, some of the things they have been on, some of them they haven't. But it's a mixture. My concern is if it gets over $5,000, do you want them to come back to you all or just have a standard rate? This is what we charge for hauling. And that's what concerns it, because one of the things about it is in the spring and late fall, you have limbs and all this other kind of stuff that's constantly falling, that's being hauled and all those kind of things. And technically, what I've advised each mayor is that that's supposed to come back for you all to bid it because you're gonna get over $5,000. But previous mayors have not done it and they hadn't been cited for it either, but our city ordinance says 5,000.
And Mr. St. Columbia, what has happened many times in the past is that one person did it all. They did the demolition and the hauling. In this instance, what's happening is the city is doing the demolition, most of it, and piling it up, but we didn't have the equipment to haul it off. And so we're just paying the
Who are
person.
getting to haul it off now?
Nobody right now, but earlier this year, we used Calhoun Trucking, Terrence Calhoun. He hauled from like 8th Street, we did
Did
Plaza.
we buy a truck to haul stuff with? I thought we bought a truck. A dump truck.
That's for the water department.
We bought a dump truck, but you know, it's
I saw it out.
yeah, it's for carrying spoilage from water leak repair. If you clean out a ditch, it's got like a 2-inch wall on it. It'll probably carry 2 tons to your landfill, but it's not really designed for this kind of heavy stuff. Yeah, so. Well, we need a dump trailer, but on the way to the dump trailer, we need to pay somebody with one to carry this stuff away for us. So we've been picking up with small dump trailers and the limb trucks and all of that. But you know, the limb trucks are staying pretty busy with the stuff they already have. So we got some piles that we need to get up. And we were going at a pretty good pace. And it's not to blame the city attorney, but he said it's a serial contract. So the mayor said, let's wait till we get that fixed.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are.
Again, if you need time to study it, you can, we have another meeting in November, 2 of them. But if you want to adopt it tonight, that's fine too.
I did it. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and adopt this ordinance.
Number 9.
Placing the third and final reading the title on. I asked to suspend the rules.
That's the question to you, Ms. Harris.
Where you asking?
I asked them to suspend the rules and places on this final reading.
Yeah.
Reading the title on.
Ms. Harris make a motion for ordinance number 9. Mr. Etheridge seconds the motion. Any discussion?
The only question I have is up here in the paragraph where it says, hauling and demolition services without the need for bidding and other purposes. Can you explain that a little bit? Hauling and demolition without services without the need for bidding? Can you kind of clarify that a little bit?
Well, it still would be under state law, but what the department was asking was for, this is our standard rate. If we're hauling, everybody knows if you're gonna call this hauler, that hauler, we know this is our rate that we charge, this is the rate that we're gonna bill for. And any contract you do have to be at that rate. And so if you set a standard rate and it's below state law, then you won't have to necessarily bid it.
Okay.
And that's,
The state law requires bids for over 35,000.
Okay.
And the guy's been typically 1,200-1,500 a lot, maybe, the hauling fees. Yeah, so when he got up to 4 or 5 of them, it was over 5,000 now, or 3 or 4, whatever it was. And so that's why we got into the serial contract discussion. Yeah.
I need some time to look this over. I don't know.
Yeah, we understand. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Dr. Miller,
What's on to say no?
pardon?
I'm gonna say no.
No? Mr. St. Columbia,
No,
Ms. Miller,
I'm gonna say yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yeah,
I have 3 yeses, 1 absent, and 2 nos.
Mayor.
Of course. Yes.
So it passes with,
no, it's just, he just suspended the rules based on the final reading. It hadn't passed yet.
oh, sorry. Okay,
Ordinance to fix the hourly rate pay for equipment operation, hauling and demolition without the need for bidding and other purposes. There has to be a motion to adopt, it has to be adopted in order for it to be passed.
Mr. Evans Move to put on with third and final reading. The second,
I'll second.
Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Dr. Miller. Mr. St. Columbia,
No.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Franklin.
Yes.
4 yes, 2 no's, 1 absent.
It has an emergency clause. I don't know if you need it read or if you're gonna adopt that. If you don't adopt the emergency clause, it goes into effect 30 days from the day.
There has to be a motion on the.
For emergency clause. Mr. Evans, so moved on emergency clause. Is there a second? Ms. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Etherly.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yeah.
Dr. Miller. Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
No.
Mayor Franklin,
Yes.
4 yes, 2 no's, 1 absent.
So then, starting at page 9 in your packet, I'll just tell you what this is. We have a public hearing set for the 7th of November. But at page 9 is ordinance number 2 of 2008, which set the water rate. I think it attempted to levelize the water rates at $5 a month. For the first 1,000 gallons in both Helena and West Helena. And that's the significance of it. You can read it for more detail. And then ordinance number 3 of 2008 set it $5 a month for sewer. And you may see notes on this because I got this from the water department where the water manager converted it to cubic feet. At that time, we used different meters in Helena and West Helena. And Helena meters measured cubic feet, so she had to convert the gallons to cubic feet to set the rate. But now they all use gallons. Then it looks like page 12 is a repeat of page 9. So page 14 is a repeat. And 15 is a repeat. 16, 17. I don't know why it's in there so many times. Okay, so page 18, and this is all kind of for informational purposes. It looks like somebody prepared, it says the administration prepared something for the city council in June of 2019, aimed at dealing with the revenues in the water department. And they're showing the current rate was $5 a gallon, and they proposed the rate at $7.71 or $12.71. And then they eventually, I think, settled on $13.71, which was the rate that was set in 2019. It does not necessarily explain, I don't think, the sewer rate. Although the sewer rate was moved from $5 to $7 and some change. On page 20, it has water department challenges, and many of those challenges kind of remain until this year, and we've been working on those this year. To clean out lift station 7 and 1 and Liza Miller. We're working on that stuff now. The West Acres tank erosion causing structural challenges. Mr. Ken Weiland gave you a report on that the tank had not leaned any further, so it's still stable, but we need to do the work, and Mr. Murdoch has been trying to get that work done. And then there's just a list of things there that you've kind of been hearing about. Skipping over to page 21 is the ordinance we're operating under now in our water department. It's ordinance 11 of 2019, and it set our water rate. I don't see it. I thought it was 13 something. Oh no, it set the rate in August, and then they raised it again. Looks like on ordinance number 12 of 2019 on page 23 to $13.71.
What page is that?
Page 23. And if I'm moving too fast, let me know. What the, so then 23 and 25 are the critical pages. That's where your water rate is set at 13.71 per for the first 1,000 gallons. And then your sewer rate for the first 1,000 gallons set at 7.85 in 2019. That's where the rates are first separated. And that's why I was telling you in part that you collecting 58% of the water rate in the sewer department, but the sewer department needs probably more money than the water. And because of all of the mechanical problems, all the mechanical errors that they're experiencing. But at a minimum, they ought to be equal. And so that's something for you all to consider as you have your meeting on sewer rates on the 7th. Then going to page 26, of course, you have to turn it sideways. This is your vendor report. I think it is for the water department for the month of September. And I don't know if anything stands out, if anybody had any questions about any of that. I see we got local plumber, Quatermont plumbing is still being used. And Southern Plumbing. Southern Plumbing, it shows in here that they haul 20,000, I guess that's gallons of waste to our sewer ponds, and 36,000, and they wash the our sludge and mud and sand from one of our sewer stations. And I know, and Mr. Murdoch is here if you need to hear from him, but I know we had rural water come down to help us as well. On page 36, you see W. Sellers Enterprises. That's the sanitation guy that's been helping us that you are authorized at $125 an hour. So I guess he did 5 hours in the month of September. But I think we may have spent about $10,000 with him for the whole year. And so that shows the total on page 37, $209,380.67 without the benefit of payroll. And then you got a general ledger on page 38 and page 40 from the two different sides of town, the West Helena and the Helena. 38 is West Helena, and it's showing water billed 81,000, collected 80,000. Sewer billed 44,000, collected 45,000. Sanitation billed 80,000, collected 83,000. In Helena, the billing was 80,000. Helena collected 67. The sewer billed 31, collected 31, and sanitation billed 51, collected 49. And I asked Jackie, and I may have talked to Mr. Murdoch about this, but there's a couple of companies that checks may not have made it to us. That was a significant amount, 5, 10, 15, maybe $20,000. I forget whichever ones they were that may have made that Helena, that 67,000 would have been higher. It probably will be higher in October because of the payment making it late. So, and I don't know who y'all may want to talk to about this sewer rate situation, but the ordinance that was passed in 2019 had an automatic kicker in it for the water rate to be adjusted according to inflation. And so the water rate has gone up from the 13.71 to whatever it is now. I think it's probably over $16, just the water rate. And I don't know. Did y'all have any questions?
When did the water rates go up?
August 2019.
They had an increase in 2019. Right? Well, in 2019, it was $10 for every, I'm just picking this one particular thing out. $10 per 1,000. Then in On page 23, it went up to 1371. Right,
That's,
per
that's,
every 1,000.
that's correct.
Then it went to. No, I guess that was it. And I see that you're saying that it went to 13, it seems like I saw 1371, 10, 13. Okay. So we've had a consistent increase in costs to our customers, right? And that
Right.
was based on us accounting for, increases or what?
But it's based on CPI, Consumer Price Index.
Okay.
So based on that inflation rate, the 1371 has been moved up January of each year. So in 2020, 2021, 2022, and this year.
Okay. Now, and this may not even be related, but when I look on page 38 and I see we've got adjustment line 21 for bad debt at 58,820. How, if we're going with the price of inflation, we're collecting more, then can you kind of give us a little insight on why we have so much bad debt?
I think the bad debt, that's typically the amount that's not collected from customers. And that's usually what bad debt is classified in.
Okay, so why are we not collecting?
Well, the bad debt collection or not collected, where people have moved out on a balance and didn't pay. And we had a process several years ago where you turn it over to a collector like Sanders, and I don't think that's being done now. And I'll double check, but this amount is not for 1 month.
Yeah.
It may be the month they did it.
Yeah.
So we go back and get a previous report, it shouldn't, I don't know, but it shouldn't be that much in that previous month, unless that's a year-to-date total. But I'll get more information on that, because I honestly don't know. It is a significant number. But I know one thing we're not doing is collecting through the debt collector type thing.
I guess I'm just presenting that because I know that a lot of our citizens are concerned about increases.
Right.
And so, it's going to be kind of tough to share that and hope that we get the support when there just seems to be some disparity in terms of what we're taking in and what we have on our ledger. That's a whole lot of deficit.
Right.
Honestly, you're right. But a lot of that old debt is just not from this year. That's previously debt that's been carried over. People died, people moved away. And some, and me and Mr. Murdoch had a conversation about and the city attorney as well. Before when COVID hit, we lost a lot of money because of adjustments that were made. So that kind of put us in this situation. But people moving away, people dying. You can't collect from the dead, and and people moving away, of course. But this
might be an accounting question, but I know some of the boards I've sat on, typically like after so many years, the bad debt it's rolled off. You might not know the answer to that question, but we might want to find that out.
I don't know the question from a water company standpoint, from a credit reporting in 7 years,
right.
But from just debt collection, you got basically, I believe it's 5 years that you can collect it. Because they signed this document initially saying that they agreed to pay your charges.
But I mean, but how long do we want to keep that on our,
Carrying over
on our books?
I don't know. I think one of the things we want to consider is turning it over to the debt collector to collect whatever he or she can out of it.
So we might want to start that again.
That may not be that as well. We had the Phillips County Sewer Association. That's what that debt is.
Well, I don't know if we consider it as bad debt, but they do owe us $50,000.
Well, that's some of the debt.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's coded as bad debt, so we need to ask.
It's been rolling. It's been rolling since.
Yeah, the Phillips County, what is the mayor talking about? The Phillips County sewer, that sewer is treated by us, and they had, my understanding, people either moved, died, quit the board, and the board became non-functional, and they stopped paying us, although we continued to treat their sewer, and I think that's something they're working on, but they got a balance right now running. That's like $51,000.
And that's why I say it's rolling, because when I was on the city council with them, that's the same, I don't know if they paid since then, but when I was there, it was the same $50-some thousand. Then that's been a year ago, same rolling $50-some thousand they have not paid. And when I asked them about it, Clark, the county judge said it's a board. So I mean, I've asked them about their money for the longest.
Yeah.
To add to what they're saying, because the issue is, as the chief of staff said, no one can even locate who was on the board. And so the board could function and pay. And so that's the issues that we've been having and trying to discern who discern who it is that we need to come to even get the bill paid. And the board had basically become obsolete. But you had some people they provided services for who still were getting service. And the board operates a conduit for us to get the sewage to them. And so hopefully they can recreate the board.
Yeah. No, the one thing I say differently than my brother, we don't get sewer to them, we treat their sewer, it comes to us.
Right.
Yeah. It's the waste coming out, going out of sewer pond. Yeah. But I will get you a specific answer about the bad debt. Maybe we can get itemization on it as well. So you'll know, and I know people will probably ask you a question about that. Why you are considering raising our rates? You're not collecting from people who owe you money. I understand the question and the logic, but let us see what we can find out on that.
Actions that we're putting in place now though, right?
Yes.
In order to take care of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we are being proactive, right?
Right, we're being proactive about it.
Yeah, and we last month and this month we began cut people off again, post COVID and post water problems. So we had 308 customers that had cut off last month. And so your staff, including me, took some cussings, but they got cut off and most of them came and paid. So there may be some reason that you got in some areas collection higher than what you bill. Just because of that. Any other questions from me on the water that I presented? Mr. Murdoch, I said that I need to hear from Mr. Murdoch. All right. We're still waiting on the water, so I'm going on the 1A, the water sewer rate study. We haven't received that back yet. And I'll follow up with Mr. Murdoch and others to make sure that we provided Arkansas Rural Water with all they need to do the rate study. This public hearing, Mr. Murdoch, on East Arkansas Planning and Development District, do we need to have a public hearing for what they want us to do?
We have not yet, because she wants to be here for the game.
Okay. So we need to set one at some point. You'll give us a date. Yeah, I think we have to do a 10-day notice on it. So it's too late for the 7th. All right, skipping over to the landfill.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
On the rate study. 2019, when we changed the rates, we had some representatives who came from rural water. And they represented to us that they had worked with the water department.
Yes.
And that the proposed rate, they gave us like 3 different options and we selected one. And they represented to us that the new rate included current needs of the department, which would include repairs and just about anything that may be needed going forward, so that we would have a rate that not only maintain the department, but would finance future maintenance. And we learned this year that was false. how do we stop that from happening again? Because we raised rates with the anticipation that we wouldn't be here as far as rates are concerned. And maybe this is a question for Mr. Murray, but how do we stop that from happening again? I mean, what did they operate on? Because my assumption is that they were given bad information from the water department. That's my assumption. But
Well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. Obviously, they were operating with some flawed information, and that flawed information, you know, produced the results that gets us to where we are now. You know, better information will produce better results. And I think you know, I kind of sat through the last meeting and I listened to a lot of comments relative to the condition of the water department financially. And I need to say that the financial health in the absence of poor management, mismanagement, and waste is going to lie with this body and the establishment of an adequate rate that covers the cost of operations and maintenance of all of the facilities. If you're in the building business, there's something called building reserves. You know, we struggle with biting the bullet to write the check to buy very expensive equipment, because sewer and water equipment is ridiculously equipment. But we ought to have a significant reserve already for replacements, and we don't. Now, built into a good rate, we will have a reserve for replacements included in that rate. Now I heard a comment and I kind of shudder when I hear that, you know, certainly we're concerned about the customers, but our concern for the customer has to be, the paramount concern has to be that we do not have another July event such as we just experienced. And the way we avoid that is we make the appropriate investments in all of our facilities and in our humanity to ensure that we have all of the necessary resources and we've got the temporal and spatial contiguity that's necessary to make sure that we got a fully operational and functional facility. We've got spare parts reserve, and we've got, you know, trained personnel to operate the system. And, you know, we got people that we can't even afford to have somebody take a vacation. Now, how ridiculous is that? Because we do not have a B team or C team. We struggle to have an A team. That's not good. You know, and I guess you don't know that. So I guess I need to tell you that, you know, that we have, you know, our challenges are that we have to develop all of the resources that we need to have a fully functional system, that we have the redundancies that we need, and we have some sense of security that come hell or high water, we're going to have water, drinking water. Did I answer all your questions?
Well, Mr. Murray, I thank you for that. Here's the thing. I got a list, or I got an overview of the people who are in your department.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm gonna go back to, I would appreciate it. And I'm speaking for me. You know, I know that ultimately you probably do need someone who helps you with all of the data and the things that you need to do. You need an assistant, okay. And I was wondering, of all those people that are in that department, without us having to go out and hire somebody, is there somebody in there that you could use for that purpose who could also take care of their daily duties? I don't know if they do or they don't.
No, ma'am.
But I guess what I would like to see is a breakdown of what are the job descriptions for these people? Why are they there? What are they doing? What is their whole job about? That would just help me a little bit.
Okay.
I would just be curious.
And that's a reasonable question. And I would like to invite all of you, to come to the water department. I would, and we've talked about this with the chief of staff before, I would invite all of you to have a facilities tour. You need to look at what we're working with. And I think that's going to give you a whole different perspective on life, on water life, to understand what we're working with daily. So the suggestion had been, well, take a council meeting one night, and rather than come here, we get a small bus. We meet earlier in the day, now that the days are short. It's probably going to be a 2 or 3 hour tour. But take a 3 hour tour, review all of the facilities. So when you look on your list and you see a lift station pump, you ought to know what a lift station pump is. You ought to know what a lift station is. Why do we need this thing? And you go out to the pump. What do we need all of these pumps? You need to know and understand that. And I think that enlightened perspective. Well, as a matter of fact, we didn't talk about it, but we need to talk about it. There is compulsory training that each council member now by order of the legislature need to have. So each of you need to have training.
I went to that training.
You went to one?
Very in depth. It was
Okay.
very in
But
depth.
everybody has to go to.
Yes, they do.
Are you the only one?
I don't know.
So we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to make sure now, and that's compulsory. It's not voluntary.
Right.
Okay, so every council member, and what they're going to do is they're going to make that training funding opportunities contingent on, because you need to know what you're funding. You get the money, what's it for? Why do we need $20 million for a regional water system?
Let me answer a question Mr. Etherly asked earlier. Mr. Etherly, if I can point you to page 18, and if y'all would join us there. Mr. Etherly asked about the rate study and what it produced, and
You're on page 18.
page 18. Yes, sir. There's a star somewhere on here, but it's making reference to the bottom paragraph that begins with main difference. Main difference, $1 increase in option 2, which would be the option that the council chose to use, raised $50,000 more than can go to, and I'm thinking that can go, it's not a then, that can go to loan for plant fixes, while option 1 only deals with breaking even on income and expenses now. So the proposal is to raise enough money to break even on income and expenses, then another $1 was added to it to borrow money, $50,000, it looks like a year would go toward a loan. And I don't think the loan ever happened. And the rate was only to break even. And if you look at your numbers on page 19, it shows that your net operating loss of $636,000 at that time. According to this thing that they're saying that come from rural water study on page 19. So what's happened since 2019 is inflation went through the roof. So the anticipation wasn't the same. Yeah, so and even though you raise your rates consistent with inflation, that if you're just breaking even, it's still not enough to sustain itself. It's certainly nothing to create any reserve. Yeah, so the rate study, I guess it did what y'all needed, what we as a community needed, that is, how much money do you need to break even? But there was nothing for reserve. You're gonna borrow money to fix stuff according to this document that I have here. And so those things are part of what you got to consider as you go forward. What are you trying to do with your rate?
Part of the then discussions were, because you hadn't had a rate increase since 2008, the sticker shock of the citizens And so I think that's part of the reason why when the council discussed it, it didn't go further, but I think someone else was trying to make comment. I was just adding that bit of clarity.
Well, we have a lot less customers today than we had when we raised the price too,
200 or 300, yes.
sir.
200 or 300,
Less,
yes.
which makes a difference too.
Yes, sir.
And it's continuing to decrease year by year.
That's correct. And if you don't fix some of those basic issues like delivering clean water, it's going to decrease at a faster rate.
Yeah.
So you got to do that.
So at the rate we're losing customers now, in 10 years, where will we be, or 5 years from now? You see,
Yes, sir.
if we keep losing customers like we are, and we're on a trend of drawing up. But yet we're producing the amount of water necessary to take care of these customers. Then you've got some that don't pay the bill.
Yes, sir. We're cutting them out. Picking up the garbage can.
We've got to face reality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But the city's gonna trend up. That's why we're trying to get industry back into Helen. That's why we're cleaning up Helen and trying to make sure that we clean up to invite people back home. So that's why we're tearing down houses, because we see the spiral, but we're trying to keep us at a rate that we can survive. So people are coming back home. I know some folks just bought some homes back in Helen. So I know my cousin moved from Chicago back to Helen, retired and moved back. So we getting people to come, but they have to see us doing our part. It's cleaning up and working together, trying to revitalize the community. So that's something we got to do. We got to attract business. That's why we got to get water where it needs to be, so we can get some more things going in the water department. Mr. Murdoch.
A couple of items. We started cutting off today. 306 cutoffs for today. They'll finish tomorrow. Other communities do not cut off in November because of Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. Don't know what your posture is, whether we want to suspend cutoffs for November or December. And I guess you all will give us some directions in that regard. Typically around the 23rd or so, and that's like, what is Thanksgiving's on the 24th?
I thought it was 23rd or something.
Maybe 23rd. So you all can decide whether we want to, be a little bit more hospitable and not shut off in November and December. But I'll look for directions from you all in that regard in the future. The other thing that's not in the packet, that Miss Sandy, it should have been in there. I thought the replacement pumps for the Airport Road lift station for Smith Lovelace, that was for like $8,000, because we've got a pump that we need to replace. And I don't know, in the absence of the physical document, if we can get an approval to spend $8,000 with Smith Lovelace for that pump tonight, would go over real well, because we need to have that pump in that Airport Road lift station.
If I could add a little emphasis and clarity on it. Most of your waste in West Island goes to Liza Miller. It's a lift station, I guess that's what we call it.
Miller, yeah.
Yeah, and then Miller pumps over the Airport Road. And then Airport Road pumps it straight down to the sewer pump. So it's a very critical pump. And the call I got the other night was that the pump wasn't working and it was backing up in Denise Drive, literally. Sending what they put out back in. I didn't get a chance to go out there to physically check that, but it's got to be unpleasant for the people over there. So I'd ask that you would approve the expenditure and that Mr. Murdoch provides with this documentation. Well, he got to provide it in order for a check to be written. The person that writes checks for the water department would not write one without info. And she doesn't sign it, she just prints it. But she ain't gonna write it without info.
And I think we've talked about this a number of times, that I would much prefer to have another special call meeting, even if it's tomorrow, Thursday, with documentation in place so that we can go ahead and vote. That's just fine. I'm for it, but I'm just saying, I think I would prefer to be consistent.
And I can believe me, I appreciate the desire for structure and consistency. But let me give you this input and insight. With the CAO that we're currently under, ADEQ is gonna expect us to do whatever we need to do structurally, politically, to ensure the health and safety of the citizens.
Okay.
Now, if we need a pump, now, the documentation is back there somewhere. Because it was provided, and I think a purchase order was requested. It was supposed to have been in the packet. How it did not get in the packet is, I don't know. But we have to not have impediments to moving forward expeditiously so that we don't have sewer backing up in neighborhoods. We're not going to tolerate that because their response to that is going to be very harsh penalties.
Are you all available sometime tomorrow? I know you.
Because we could just pull it up on that screen.
Let me say this because this is really, it's frustrating. for
Mr.
me.
Murdoch, can you go to your office and bring it right back?
It's not in, it's an email, and I can go in an email and reprint the email. But let me say this while
I
we're
don't have
at
access
this,
to it.
at this juncture. At my prior engagement, I had a $20,000 spending limit. You can't run a water and sewer department without immediate access to dollars. Because that's what gets you out of trouble. Cash in investment, you hear cash is king. Well, available resources is king. It really frustrates and bogs down processes. We're waiting right now on a check to remove a fence that the request was put in 3 weeks ago on an inspection that's 9 months old. You know, things bog down, don't move forward, fall through the cracks. That has to stop. That has to stop. We have to be able to flow through, make a request, get the necessary resources that we need so that we can move forward. We have a mountain of things to do. And as we continue to make these little baby steps, we'll never get there.
Oh, the fence, what?
Beg pardon?
You refer to the fence, so whose desk is that on? What, the fence that you said that you're trying to get removed, whose desk is that on? I mean, where?
I don't know where it is, but I went through the structure that exists and nothing's coming out.
Taking care of it.
Yeah, I mean, it just, let me go and print this email for these pumps, because these pumps we gotta have. Let me go and do that.
Now, for clarity, while we wait, I was doing some legal research. Mr. Anthony was talking back and forth about the 2 votes that occurred earlier relating to that ordinance. The mayor does have the right to vote to suspend the rules, as Attorney General's opinion from 2004 from then Attorney General Mike Beebe that said so in the statute. But as it relates to suspend the emergency clause, he does not have the right to vote. So it passed, but without the emergency clause. So it goes in effect in its normal course. The mayor cannot vote on the emergency clause. But that's the discussion Mr. Etheridge's been having back and forth with me while we've been talking. That's why I've been spending so much time on my phone.
What does that mean?
It means it passed.
It
It
passed.
passed, but it's gonna go in effect
Go in
30 days
effect.
from now versus today.
Listen, while we wait on Murdoch, well, I put this salary request from the police department to show you, just to give you a quick view. With overtime, we spent $808,760.40 in overtime. Well, if you look at it, the top, you would see where it says January 2023 to October 2023. This is,
So from January to October, we spent 800 some thousand.
with overtime.
No,
But no, I'm sorry, 163,000, excuse me.
Oh, I was about to say.
I'm sorry, so that's from January to October. So an employee cost to have those employees, 645,000. It's overtime on the old rate, 800 some $1,000. If you go down to the second list, that's it when we pay them at $13.
Mr. Mayor, would you explain to the listener what employee cost means?
Employee costs, there's gonna be benefits and wages together. So if you look at the second column, it has annual salary and hourly rate 1878. So that's like $42,000. If you look at the salary, it'd be $42,000 for the officers. So for 15 with benefits, it'll be $59,000. With 15 officers at 42, it's 800, and it's the salary, $885,000. See, that's so if you look at so total cost under the new rate will be $1,108,100.106.40. These will be salaries, not overtime. So that's what I want you all to look at when the police department asks for a raise. If you start officer out at $42,000, you see that you see where it says total employee total cost will be $885,000. Right here with overtime, we at $808,000. So if we can at least start our officers out at the 42, where we can cut down some of the overtime. This is walking in the door at 42. Total package with benefits for each employee will be $59,000. So I wanted to get you, and I because every time the chief come up, I want him to see that I have been working behind his back, trying to make sure that I can get you all to see the plan. Everybody saying with benefits, how much does this cost? Well, I got it here for you all. And we kind of need to look at, because we're losing officers and crime is steady happening, in our offices. We don't even have 15 officers. But at this rate right here, we spending it with overtime. We can get 15 officers on the street for this price right here. So I kind of want y'all to look at it, and because we need to kind of do something. We need to set some dates on budget workshops, because this community can't afford to put our officers out here like this, and we don't have enough officers. Look at the incident in the past couple of days of what's been happening in this community. And the officers get off, they don't even get off, they just drag on to the next day. So at some point, we got to look at their mental health and their safety and our safety as well. We're asking them to provide, protect and serve. How can they protect and serve and underpaid and overworked? You don't want to have some kind of fatality when one of our officers getting hurt on the streets because not getting a chance to get enough rest. So,
Mr. Mayor, will you address, Chief Bell talked to you about, currently you have 9, you get 15, and the question was at the last meeting about, okay, so what would happen with overtime with additionals? And the chief said that he may have some officers that are ready to be hired. At the rate, could you further expound on that?
Chief Bell is here.
Chief Bell.
Oh, okay, I didn't see him come
Chief
in.
Bell, you want to come forward? And this is just a template. I want us to see what we can do. You know, if you look at it, at 30, you're paying them 43 with benefits. And that's at $11. They're going right down to Marvel, which is smaller than us. So going right there to Mariana. Chief Bell.
Chief, what I was addressing was, the question a couple of times ago when you made your presentation was, okay, you're looking for the salary increases. But how will you curtail overtime? Do you have people ready to start to fill in those other positions? And so that's what I was actually just found on.
Yes, I think that we could immediately hire probably 3 to 5 officers with a salary of 42,000. I've spoken to officers across the state with departments about the same size. And so I think we could be successful in attracting at least 3 to 5 off the top. Even some of those guys who left for slightly higher salaries, they would probably be willing to come back. 42.
Will 15 officers be sufficient to curtail the overtime?
We could make it work. I would prefer at least 20 officers. I think that's a pretty solid number for our community.
And Chief, also, we could afford 20. I did 15 because we still got the cops grant that we can use. It's $1 million cops grant. I just got this number right here because we need some immediate relief for the police department. And I just did these 15 because we got the cops grant. Am I right, Ms. Ramsey? Mm-hmm. So it's $1 million, but we have to have boots on the ground. So I was just trying to, because we hadn't had an influx in crime until just these couple of days, but we have to give these officers some relief. I was out at the ER back to back with the chief. And both of these incidents happening, your folks are coming in tired. They need to be relieved. And that's why I decided to work on this so you all could see. And we could afford 5 more officers, but I was just like Anita Baker, I was just giving you the best that I got.
Can I give them an example as to the fitness or the lack of? On last night, we are chasing a murder suspect in our community. We know he's here because he's communicating with different individuals. So all of our staff was out until about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, including myself, searching houses, stopping vehicles. So we're doing what you all are asking us to do. They're working diligently, they're working hard. But I can tell you, as the mayor just stated, they are fatigued, but they keep pushing. And so, yes, I didn't come tonight prepared. Glad the mayor brought this up, but we do need the help immediately.
And I say this, before taking the office, I would see some of our police officers just sitting. These guys ain't sitting waiting on donuts. These ain't your old officers. They're young, been to the academy, have passed the academy, have done everything we've asked them to do. And when life happens to one of us, if a fire happens, you want the fire department. When crime happens, you want your police department right there to assist you. If somebody hits your car, you want your police report. I mean, they're getting trained. The chief has implemented a lot of new things for the officers. Reports are getting written correctly. And we can't just keep, we get them trained from the academy. They leave to go somewhere else because we ain't paying them. And I know that everybody around the table go to their job and like to be paid. I like to be paid as well on my jobs. And I want to perform well. But we have to look at what we're asking these officers to do. I don't think I could do the job they do to see a gunshot victim. I saw a gunshot victim and to go home to play with my kids is something different. So we have, police is just not, as people say, bad guys like folks. So they go through a lot mentally. And, we ask them to do this job and we pay them. And then, when they leave, us wonder why they leaving.
What's the matter?
You've referenced, it's been referenced a couple of times since this grant. And at another meeting, I think someone said that there was how much left in that fund now? Is it 500,000 or is it still at 1 million? Is it recurring? Do we get that every so often? I mean, how does that work?
The feds offer it every so often and you have to apply for it. And they set a number that you can hire. And like, if we had one leave, we could put another one in. It's like a 3-year program. They tell us how much, but we're obligated to keep them after we finish this portion of the COPS grant. We have to keep them for X number of years before they can go anywhere else.
And we can do that because at this point we're trying to build up this community. I mean, decline the population. We gonna stop that. We're working to get industry here. We're working to do a lot of things different. And we gotta. I mean, I just can't tell you everything, and I don't want to surprise you, but we have to start working on retaining good law enforcement.
What's the name? If you would ask the chief and chief, if you would comply, I think you ought to brief the council on those 2 separate shooting incidents. He can without breaching his investigation, but I don't know that they know.
Oh,
What y'all.
and I do apologize for that.
The
So,
audience may not know.
so I just wanted to get that. Chief Bells, you would explain, tell them what's been going on in the community with these 2 incidents.
Yes, both of these cases are still under investigation. So we had 2 shooting incidents. One happened at Plaza Express located at 4th and Plaza. 2 individuals shot each other. Both of them are still in the med. So that's pretty much open and closed, that case is. So we have both suspects. The last one, last Thursday, young man shot and killed another young lady, ex-wife, my understanding. And so we're searching for him right now as we speak. And for the record, I want to say thank you to our law enforcement partners who we have contacted, and they are working with us very, very closely. So we feel pretty good about apprehending this suspect. Yes. He did. Well, he shot a young man. That's all I need to say about him.
So how much is left?
I think the treasurer mentioned about $500,000.
And we can fund. To you all, we have to do something. I mean, we're almost at the end of the year. We could look at doing something and try to make sure that we have budget workshops to make sure we can do this. I mean, we can and we need to. We need to do something as soon as possible.
One more thing on the police officers. Because we had so few, you get the officers and if they're qualified to be promoted, put in positions of supervision, you can declare them to be salaried employees that don't get overtime. Which would help you to control some of that. It wouldn't be all of them, but it would get some of them off the overtime. Right. Kind of like the chief ain't on overtime.
So I work over there.
Yeah, and I had gotten you a copy. I didn't give it to you tonight to show you with overtime. The overtime of some of these officers salaries. Some of these salaries are 6 days, 58. 45, 50, 62.
They're working 6 days, 12 hours a day.
Right, so the overtime.
They're working 7 days sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
so their overtime, some of their salaries are already topping the chief. Cause they're overtime, so man, so we paying one officer 2 officers' salary for overtime. And that's something that we have to look at on. That officer could be relieved, going home, you know, we don't have a shift change, they just come in. And we gotta get our officers have a shift change, at least 6 part-time officers where they can relieve some of our full-time officers, you know, so we have to look at something soon, or we're gonna be without anything. So I want you, that's why I gave you all this, and I didn't mean to spring stuff on you all, but it was in your package. I want to let you know that I was working, the chief didn't know I was working on this. It's something I wanted to present to show you all where we are now. And at 30 grand and with benefits, it's 43. If we go to 42, it's 59 with benefits. So I think 42 would be something good to start off. It's a template. So we can see. So we need to kind of act upon that. So we've got 2 months left in the year. We can implement this. If you all want to, I'm certainly trying to push you all to so we can keep saving lives. We can't keep saving lives with what we're doing here. It's unsafe. With that being said, y'all have any questions? So
Mr. Mayor, when I presented that to him tonight, I told him that you wasn't asking them to take any action on it tonight for informational purposes.
I know,
So,
but I just thought it would be good just to ask.
so they have an opportunity to digest.
Yeah,
Because it wasn't in their packet.
I understand.
And I understand that our city clerk is making copies of the Smith Lovelace quote, and Miss Miller has a copy in hand. But if we could temporarily go to the, I guess it's 7B1-2B, that's the kennel, the kennel and animal control contract. I think we're using a facility of $1,500 a month. And as far as I know, it's been working okay, been working well. And so I would suggest that we approve that for another month. If we do, we've done it 2 months at $1,500, so we spent $3,000 so far, and this would make it $4,500. Well, the contract part, I'm sorry, the city attorney received a contract that the proprietor had prepared and sent to us, and he was going to review it. This is the kennel. This is the, I don't know, is it Meals on Wheels, Leslie
It's
Galloway?
gonna be Heartland.
Heartland, I don't know the name. But they sent us a contract. And so the city attorney was going to review that. I don't know where we are on that part. But it's basically, by the time you meet again, it's time to pay again. And so that's why I mentioned it. But it's certainly up to you all if you want to wait till the city attorney approves the contract.
Some adjustments to it for the next city council meeting. It was my understanding last meeting that they were actually, we're talking about the $1,500 a month.
Yes, $1,500 a month to use a facility that houses 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
She wanted to sell it as well.
Huh?
She wanted to sell it as well. I know she's gonna do the lease to own or to the city.
But that was separate. We could, it is for sale. She wanted everybody to know. I don't know the price, but she's doing the $1,500 a month.
So I don't know what the pleasure is with,
Yo, I mean, if you want to pay her for next month, because she wants to be paid.
Since we're this close to next month, I'll make a motion that we pay. The 1,500 to, who you said,
Heartland. I think.
Heartland.
Yeah. Ms. Miller
Farther.
makes the motion to pay Heartland $1,500 a month. Is there a second?
Dr. Miller second. I did.
I think we should do it. It's just, so, because as of right now, we're not at the spending threshold yet, are we? We're,
No.
No,
so then what are we voting for?
Well, it's a serious contract. We're doing it over and over.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that you all,
It's-
I'm not just gonna sign a check without you all,
It's about to get there.
right? So I want to make sure you all.
This would be 4,500.
I see.
And so December will take you over if you get to December.
Okay. So now we're voting for December.
No, we're doing November at this point.
Okay.
Place the house, the dog.
Yeah, we just had November.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just this payment that you're authorizing would be 1,500.
So do we want to just get a proposal from her and,
Well, she has a proposal.
okay,
We're
not
The
prepared.
city attorney is working.
I got you.
As a practical matter, y'all at the end of the year. And you got to reappropriate it next year, and you probably do better just to start the agreement fresh in January.
I got you. Okay.
So then should we just authorize both November and December right now?
If that's what Ms. Miller desires to do, because it'll be over you'll be at $6,000 by the time you come back again. If you want to just go ahead and pay November, December, and then just in January, we'll have a contract.
And then you'll have the updates if we need or.
But we'll have the agreement before then, but I'm saying you probably start a contract January to go through December.
Okay.
If you're gonna do the contract, is what I'm saying.
You amend your motion.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion.
She's already made a motion. The question is, does she want to amend to include December?
Yes, I'd like to amend the motion that we pay for, you said November and December,
December.
$1,500 per month.
Ms. Miller, amends her motion.
And I'll say.
The second, in discussion, this is what I have. So when it comes to, because she's giving us an option to buy, so when we look at in January, start trying to see, can we buy this from her? Because the money we giving her now is just rent, but we could buy it and get this out the way. Well, and that's what I will talk to her about, but I want to let you all know that we giving her this money, we could have bought it and stopped all this, but I don't want to ever mislead to tell you something I'm not gonna follow about, but that's just my thing. I hope that we can get Miss Ramsey, we can get a number on what she wants, because it wasn't that much, because the same thing she has, me and the chief of staff looked at buying some of the same kennels. And it would have been cheaper than what we paid for the slab and the thing that the lady paid for, Bissell paid for. But that's my decision. That's my discussion. Anything else, Madam Clerk? I'm sorry, Mr. Ether. I'm sorry.
Not trying to influence anybody else, but $900,000 in debt. What is the plan? What is the plan? Pay $1,500, pay it again. What happens in January? What's the plan? Reason why we don't have that dog pound that we spend money on is because it was just thrown out there with no plan. No plan for what was going to happen, other than it looked good when it was thrown out there. So what's the plan? I can't support it, with no way to pay for it, no plan. So not intended to influence anybody else at this table. I'm saying into the microphone before I cast my no vote, why I'm casting my no vote.
I see your point. I think the thing is, it's a issue in our town, and I think it's our responsibility. We do have to take care of. I think as of right now, yes, we are kicking the can down the road to another meeting, and hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have something together, either a proposal from the vendor or something that we can then present and then look at. So that's the hope.
And I understand that it is an issue. The thing that I've learned about animal control is it's not just that simple. It is so much deeper, because we have groups of people who have different ideas of what animal control involves. And trying to bring all those people together, what will animal control look like?
Yeah.
And my idea of what animal control looks like has never been what some other people think. And that's not just, say that that's bad. I'm just saying, I don't arrive at the same point.
Hmm.
And I think as long as we've been kicking it, well, we're not really kicking down the road. We didn't have animal control for years. And when we tried to re-enter, it's being kicked down the road. But see, the problem is when we actually start, it's kind of like what's going on in Congress right now. When they tried to, everybody agrees when the speaker, but once you start talking naming names, nobody can agree on that one thing. I can see this happening in animal control, where when we actually start to talk about it in January, we have so many different ideas of what animal control should look like and what they should actually do. And then we'll look back in the rearview mirror and say, oh, I guess we could have saved that money because we can't get an agreement on what we're supposed to do. And so all I'm saying is, I think I see what's coming down the road. And I think we need a plan to go forward on. And so, like I said, I'm not trying to influence, I'm just saying why I'm not for this particular idea.
Here's one thing. I think the animal control was this body, it was just thrust on because to the last minute things done in December. You're about to start new in January. The mayor has a duty to get you all a proposed budget by December the 1st. And you all have a duty to begin to meet regarding a new budget. I think that we have to have something that details what's going to be this body's position on animal control as a whole. And when you start meeting in December about it, you got to define that. And if we define it larger, we'll go with that. If you define it small, you go with that. But I think we've had a year of uncertainty, and I think that what we need to do is define it. Now, I don't want to further comment on that because you have a motion on the floor, but I'm just saying that as you go forward, that's what you probably ought to do in your December meetings, because you're going to meet several times in December. Because in January, you're supposed to have a budget. Of course, you can extend it till February 1st, but going into the year, we got to have some authority to move forward. And I think as part of that, you all probably ought to start looking at November, December to have extra meetings financially so you can begin to adopt your budget and get it done. And animal control is one of the things that you probably ought to look at.
Yeah. And to be consistent, I was going to say no on that $2,100 canopy too, if he was going to ask us to pay for it. And so I came no on it on all, unless it's an emergency, $900,000. I came prepared for no on every financial request. There wasn't any emergency. And so I laughed when he said, well, I don't want you to pay for it. And Andre said, what's so funny? I said, oh, I thought he wanted us to pay for it. So anyway, that's why.
Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, because I think that I totally agree with everything I heard that as far as animal control, I think as far as our civic responsibility, it should definitely be animal control, not animal rescue.
Right.
And I think that's where we maybe have been tempted to lean into. I think as a city, that's not our responsibility, animal rescue. I would love to rescue all the animals, but that's not our job. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, let's go through the process. You all define that based on how you do it and define the structure of the department. But there's a motion and a second on the floor, Mayor.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
No.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Have 4 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent.
Now, in the absence, Mr. Baraki, we've had the copies made.
All right.
I know what I'm saying. He had the copies made, and Mr. Murdoch, we yield back to you to address your 3 issues here.
You have the item in your hand, you need to act on.
Well,
So just for clarification, is the 781 that you mentioned, along with the Hartman Lumber Company, 59.
Yeah, and the pumps, and if you ever get to tour one of the lift stations, you'll understand that they are duplex stations. Each station has 2 pumps in it. They should alternate so that one pump does not burn itself out. And in the best of all possible worlds, there ought to be a spare pump or replacement pump so that if one of the pumps goes out, you can pull the failing pump and put in a replacement pump. So that's what we're aiming to get to on this station. So there's actually two pumps there.
You want us to vote to approve both of these pumps, is that?
That everything that's on that sheet, yes, sir.
So you need the one for 7,800 and the one for 9,588.
Right.
Okay, and then the materials and supplies from Hartman for
Right.
59.
Right.
Okay.
Harmon's, that was over my spending limit, so
I got you.
that's why it waited on you all.
Harmon is the west tank.
Right.
Tank up by walls, behind walls, through.
And I wish, have any of you ever been up there to see that Stringtown tank? You should get a real close look to see what it looks like, because the first time I saw it, I said, oh my goodness, this thing's gonna fall down the hill.
Right. You took pictures and disseminated to council earlier this year.
Did I? Okay.
And you told us that the engineering report
Yeah.
that it was
Had
still
moved.
safe, it had moved.
But the health department has us on their radar. It's an item that we need to repair. And it's been in that state now for a year. So it's long, it's been there longer than that. So it's long overdue for remediation.
I make a motion we approve this request.
So both of these requests.
Yeah.
Ms. St. Columbia moves to approve of these requests for Harmon's and for from Smith and Lovelace.
Both those pumps.
Yeah, Smith and Lovelace, Mr. Miller seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
5 yes.
Thank you, Mr. Renner.
Thank you all. So we can get that check at one.
Let me just run through what's left, and we got Miss Flora here, and I imagine she's on 5A, dog food. So on 6, just tell you on the dilapidated structure, we're still working on that. And we've had asbestos reports prepared or ordered. They've been ordered, they're not prepared. The samples have been sent off, so we're waiting on the samples to come back for 112 Cherrydale, 529 York, and 512 Perry. The owners have requested that we tear those down, and we're going to get the asbestos report and act according to what we find from those reports. Perhaps at the next meeting, we'll get you the order waiving bidding on the Cascade. You approved it, but we didn't do an ordinance on it, on the fire department. And the police department, the chief told me we were gonna skip all the stuff that he has on there. And I believe that will wrap up your agenda except for animal control in light of the treasurer being out. Unless there's something else I left out. Oh, I have a request. So, I can't give you full detail, so you have to talk to me about it later if you need to talk to the mayor. But what we want you to do is authorize the mayor to enter into discussions and negotiation with the various parties regarding our hospital. It's either going to be sold or leased or something of the sort. And once they reach an agreement, they come back to you for approval up or down, because it will involve the land. I believe, privy to tell you that the land is owned wholly by this entity. There's been some discussion that the land was owned by this entity and the foundation owned the improvements on the land. But that is not the case. And so there's been some discussions that are still considered not ready for public disclosure. And the person that's attempting to buy the hospital would like to meet with you all, one at a time, to make his own presentation to you. if you're willing to do that, and city attorney can tell you whether you can and all that kind of stuff. But certainly if two of y'all get together, you gotta notify the media and give them 2.5 hours or whatever notice that you're gonna do that. But what we'd like for you to authorize the mayor to continue negotiations with those individuals and bring a proposal to you all when it's right. The goal is to complete this by December 31st, such that people can keep their jobs out there at the hospital. And the goal, as I understand it, is that it'll be about 75 jobs that you'll save. And then they intend to grow that number to perhaps double that with doing outpatient services and things of that nature. As I've shared an article with you from what they did in Tunica or Marks or somewhere else in the Clarksdale newspaper, but it's the REH is the designation, Rural Emergency Hospital, where basically you won't have inpatients for longer than 48 hours at this facility. But based on the federal regulations, that's kind of where you're moving anyways, where people who are sick enough to be in the hospital longer than 48 hours are being pushed to a bigger facility, a Little Rock or Jonesboro or Memphis or Jackson, Mississippi or somewhere of that sort. And so that's why it's been difficult for us to keep our hospital open anyway, because we're losing money. With this rural emergency hospital designation, the billing recoupment would be 105%. Whereas it's significantly less than that now. So there's an incentive actually for people to come here, and they believe that they'll be able to get various specialists to set up shop. They may come once a week or something of that sort. And we may share some of them with Tunica, Marks, Mississippi, or Batesville, Mississippi, because it's going to be that group owns those 3 hospitals, and they're trying to acquire ours. So it won't be a giant hospital corporation owning us, but a relatively small corporation that's using this new designation that is profitable at this time to keep the hospital open. So I may have told you more than I was supposed to, but that's generally what we got. Mr. St. Columbia?
Yeah, I have only one concern, that whatever we do, and I'd like the mayor to be sure that we don't lose our hospital. I don't know who the charter, who has possession of the charter, if the city owns it or it's owned by somebody else, I don't know. But I know that those charters for hospitals in areas don't come a dollar a dozen. I mean, we need to be sure to protect our charter, that we maintain that for Helena and
Right,
West. I don't want to see us lose our hospital ultimately down the road.
Right.
Whatever we do, we don't want to lose it.
We can't let it close.
Right, and
If it closes, then you.
and I know that if you had the charter,
Right.
it won't close. If we had possession of the charter,
Yes,
it might be in our name, might be in the city of Helena, but I don't know. If that's something we need to look at.
yes, sir. We'll check on that.
Looking at all this,
There's been a general misunderstanding about who owned what. And
who owns
that's why
what,
I was
especially that
clarifying
charter.
that the city owned the hospital and everything above it and below it. That belongs to the city. Maybe some equipment inside of it belongs to somebody else. But the building, the grounds, what's on it, this all belongs to the city of Helena-West.
Yeah, I know the ground does.
The ground and everything on it
Yeah,
and below it. Yes, sir.
all the oil rights and everything.
All right. Yes, sir.
But we need to be sure that charter is retained.
I'll make sure that the mayor checks on that.
Yeah.
You know, they meet with the mayor.
It's just a
Sometimes
suggestion.
I'm available, but I'm not always in those meetings.
And you forgot, we got this.
Well, I didn't get the authorization for you to continue in negotiation. That's what
Yeah.
I think so. Yes, sir.
I like to make a motion.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Miller moves to let the mayor, which is me, negotiating with this group about the hospital. Mr. St. Columbia seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes,
5 yes.
Thank you. We have the historical commission, the historic district commission. I gave you all some recommendations. They want us to have this done by the end of the month.
By the 30th, I think.
Yes, by the 30th. I was trying, I mean, if we can approve these if you like, I called people like Miss Sandra Lee, who's already on there. Mr. Evans, who is new, Mr. Eckerson, Chuck Davis, Miss Shan. Yeah, or the historical district. It's new to this board. Yeah. I mean, and if y'all can approve it to appoint some folks that you may want on here, but I just got together so we can get some names. I'm happy to take some of your recommendations. But I asked these people because I feel like that, you know, they own some things or already doing it. So I'd be happy to take a motion for these names if you all.
I make a motion to approve the names for the Historic District Commission recommendations.
Ms. Miller moves that we accept the names that are printed on this for the Historical District Commission. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. St. Columbia seconds the motion. Any discussion?
I guess the proper motion to be moved to appoint all of them to the,
Well,
or to.
move
Make
to
a
appoint
motion
all
to
of them.
appoint. Yes.
Ms. Miller amends her motion to appoint.
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia, you amend your second? To appoint, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yeah.
Ms. Harris.
Yeah.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly.
Yeah.
5 yes.
Mr. Mayor, one thing, you appointed those people and the people on things don't know who they are. You didn't call in the name.
Mrs. Sandra Lee, Mr. Eddie C. Evans, Mr. Amos Eckerson, Mr. Chuck Davis, Dr. Sharon Anthony. I'm sorry.
All right, and then the final thing, item 5A, 8-5A, animal control, there's a request for money to purchase food for the animals. On the agenda it says $500. I got a handout from Ms. Ramsey that shows that we're actually spending closer to $800. $750. So I'd ask the council to take some action on feeding the animals. Ms. Sandra, did you pass out this?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, so how much to feed the animals is on your desk? And we just actually take some action on that.
The body wish to take any action?
Well, I made a motion on it last, week, and last time we had a meeting.
Well, to be happy to know, I bought some food the last time. I spent my own money, not the city's money, my own money, because I felt like, and I give $100. So that helps. I mean, it's. How much is it for?
The request on the agenda is 500, but the itemization is 750. What it's showing. So,
Well, I'd like to make a public appeal for members and people in the community who, understand the situation. They're dog supporters. They are supporting our city with this. And I'm asking them to come and either bring bags of dog food, help Miss Floyd get partnership with people to supply dog food. I'm just making a public appeal.
all right. Now, I think Ms. Floric has been buying this out of her pocket. I think that's my understanding. Ma'am, Ms. Floric, can you speak?
Since the last meeting, when we had no action on my request for money to buy dog food, I've received a nice outpouring of concern, and dog food have been sent to me, not just from people here locally, but from people who saw what the situation was in other states, because this has gone out of Helena, out of Phillips County, through the networking of a large number of animal shelters, that I had no dog food. I have dogs, but no dog food. And yes, I have purchased a lot. And yes, I've been lucky to have people who've donated. But for me not to have any budget at all to purchase dog food, it doesn't go along with the fact that we have an animal facility. So I am requesting the 750, but I'll take the 500 because we have to keep feeding these animals. And I cannot afford to continue to purchase it out of pocket with no guarantee that I'll be reimbursed.
Ms. Floyd, how many dogs have you been able to move? Because last time you were here, well, last time I was here that you presented, you said you had 9 dogs at your house that you had picked up.
Right.
So how many of those have you been able to move?
We have been able to continue to move, but it's pretty much, it's been a struggle across the United States, getting animals moved. It's just because there have been so many natural disasters, the fires in Maui, the floods, all the terrible things that have happened, that the big rescue groups that reach out, similar to what the Bissell Corporation does, the ASPCA, the Humane Society of America, they roll in with the big trucks and the rescue teams to bail out those type of communities when there's been a terrible event that happens. And then at that point, they disseminate all of those animals to other rescues that may or may not really be able to take them on, but they take them on because they're affiliated with those large groups. So with those large events happening, the normal flow is not flowing very well. Now, right now we have an opportunity to move some, I hope within the next 2 weeks, but it's not a large group that gets to go. It's not in the past when we were able to move 10, 12. I'm talking about not me as animal control, but I'm talking about in the background times when we might be able to move 10 or 15 dogs at a time. That's not really happening very well. And we have so many poor communities around us that have no animal control at all, that are working off of individuals who are running their own animal services, trying to help with the animals in their community, that they're struggling too. So with the help of Leslie Galloway and the Meals on Wheels and her prior contacts, and the some that I had from my prior job and some that we've made since then, I'm hopeful to really start to be able to get some out of here. But the problem therein lies is, you know, we go back to what's necessary, the spay neuter program. That's what's necessary. And the fact that the dogs are, and I really hated to see this warm weather come back, because sometimes the cooler weather actually slows down the number of extra puppies that'll be popping up around Christmas time. And now it's warm again. So they're all out roaming. And we're going to have a big influx of unwanted puppies and people to please take care of this, and angry citizens. I get yelled at every day. So for not being able to take the animals. So what I'm asking for is food for the ones we currently have.
Okay, so are the ones that are in Heartland, do they have food? And are you talking about just the dogs at your house?
No,
Are you talking about all?
Combination. Those numbers that I presented were the dogs at Heartland, the dogs at my house that are being used as an extension of Heartland, and 2 different sets of foster parents that are taking care of litters for us, that we hope to move as a batch, the batch of 4, batch of 5 in these litters. But this is a current need right now. Now, yes, I've gotten some dog food in. I've been very lucky. And so I don't I don't need to go to the store tonight.
How much money you requesting?
I requested last week $500 a month. And when I sat down and looked at how much it really was costing, it came out closer to being $750 a month. And so, but at this point in time, I'll take the 500 just so I know that there is some money ready to roll for me to be able to purchase food. So I don't have to get on Facebook and beg for it.
I'll make a motion again that we give her $500 a month to feed the dog.
Mr. St. Clair make a motion to give a $500 for the dog food.
For clarity, is that October to December? Is that October through December?
Yes,
That's $1,000.
until we do a budget, until January. Okay,
He said $500.
It's about a month.
$500 a month down through December,
Yeah, he said October, November, December. is what he said.
$1,500.
October, November, December. That's my motion.
Yeah, second. It's not a second.
My goodness.
Well, I give $100 of my dollars. I don't mind. I mean, or I'll buy you some dog food. I'll go out to Walmart tonight and buy dog food to help you. So, I mean, that's just me. I've did it before. I don't mind doing it again.
It kind of illustrates the point. You approve money to house 12 animals, but you've been asked to feed more than 12. It's all deep, it's different ideas about what animal control
Well,
should look like.
The feeding the 12, Mr. Athlete, was what I estimated at the 500. And when I sat down and looked at who we were actually feeding, how much we were actually feeding, that's where it came up to 750. So the 500 would take care of the 12,
You got anything?
and 500 really, I know you're looking at that going $500 a month. But anybody who has a pet in this room knows how much you might be paying for your own dog food for that one dog. And $500 a month to feed 12 dogs or 12 slots of dogs for the potential of 30 days a month is $500 is nothing.
They have decided not to take any action in this one, but my offer still stands. I want to help. I'll get some dog food. Anything else? Mr. St. Clair, move adjourn. There a second? All right.